watchOS 7 is out today, so as soon as your iPhone is updated to iOS 14, head over to the Watch app and hit that software update button to get the latest and greatest for your Apple Watch. Now, this year's update is not a massive change to the Apple Watch as a platform. You're not going to notice a ton of changes either right away, but there are some meaningful updates, and I think that with the state that Apple Watch is in as a mature platform, we're not going to see big updates every year, and I think that expecting the watch to change in huge ways and revolutionary ways every year is asking for disappointment. So looking at it with that lens, let's take a look at watchOS 7. Here is my review. Without a doubt, the headline feature in watchOS 7 is sleep tracking. Now, this is something third-party apps have done for years, and there's lots of Apple Watch users who have worn their watch to sleep and have been getting sleep tracking data for a long time. Apps like AutoSleep and Sleep Cycle are some of the best out there. But Apple's solution is a little simpler and a little more built into the system, which you would expect from Apple. And so their sleep tracking is less concerned with deep analytics on how you're sleeping, on exact REM cycles and everything. You're not going to get that from this app. If you want that, AutoSleep, Sleep Cycle, these apps still exist and you can use those. But Apple's solution is a little more simplified and a little more mainstream, and honestly is probably what most people need. So it taps into the bedtime feature on your iPhone. So if you're already using that on iOS, you're already halfway there. You basically just need to tell it to link it to your Apple Watch and have your Apple Watch be involved in this as well. And so it does a good job of detecting when you went to sleep. But my problem with it is that it doesn't do a good job of determining when you wake up. So it basically decides you wake up whenever you turn off your alarm. So if your alarm's at 6 a.m. and you just clear it every day, whether you actually get out of bed at 6 or if it's the weekend and you sleep in another hour, 2 hours, it doesn't really know the difference. So it's all based on when you turn off your alarm. It's not perfect. It really makes it look like you're waking up more consistently than you actually are, which is not perfect. And then another issue is that you can't adjust it after the fact. So if you dismiss your alarm at 6, but then you fall asleep and sleep till 7, there's no way for you in Apple's Health app to go in and just say, actually, let me drag this over. I slept till 7 today. You can't adjust it. So it's not going to be the most accurate data, which is a little unfortunate. But one of the things that's not unfortunate about it, and what's great, and why I'm actually still using AutoSleep and I'm using watchOS 7's bedtime sleep tracking, is that the thing that it does when you go into bedtime mode is it's kind of like a theater mode, but for sleeping, which is anyone with a Series 5 Apple Watch with the always on display, there's a good chance if you wore it to sleep, you had to remember every night to throw it into theater mode because you didn't want the always on screen keeping you or your partner up at night. This new bedtime mode is basically that, where it turns off the screen. By default, the always on display is off, but it also does that thing that theater mode does, where if you turn your wrist, it no longer turns on the screen, which is great. And even if you do kind of tap the screen, what it's going to do is show you a basic watch face that's extremely dim, is black and white, doesn't show you a ton of information. It just shows you the time and when your alarm is set. So that lets you see kind of like what time is it in the middle of the night. If you wake up in the middle of the night, you can see what time it is. But that's really all it's for. It's not going to light up the room ever. It's really, really dim. It's really nice. And so people who have been using the Apple Watch Series 5 especially for sleeping and sleep tracking previously, they're gonna love this. But overall, the feature I think is okay. It's a decent first step, but it's not as advanced. I think that a lot of people who have been using apps like Sleep Cycle and AutoSleep for all these years, they're going to keep using that and be happy with it. They may use the bedtime feature specifically for that turning the display off while you're sleeping, which is fantastic. But I think that the tracking is pretty basic, and I think that it's going to be good for a lot of people. Like I said, a lot of people just want that information. They just want to know how long did I sleep. They don't necessarily want to know that my REM cycles were this, and that for these 5 minutes I was restless, and for these 45 minutes I was still. They don't really care. But this is a more mainstream option. And then for people who don't find it enough, who want more control, who want more details, then there's all these third-party apps that already exist. So I hope that they get a bump as well from this new feature being added to watchOS. Now, I mentioned having to remember to turn on theater mode every night previously if you were sleeping with an Apple Watch Series 5 so that the screen didn't stay on all night. Well, one of the great features in watchOS 7, and one of the unbelievably useful ones that I think is a little nerdy and won't get used by everybody, but is super helpful for those who understand how shortcuts work, is that Apple Watch functions have been added to the Shortcuts app. So Shortcuts lets you automate things on your iPhone either by manually running them or setting them to run at specific times. And so now what you can do is you can do some watch functions on there. So you can do things like change your watch face, you can turn on or off bedtime mode, you can turn on or off theater mode, you can turn on do not disturb, you can turn on the always on display. A lot of these features, you can ping your iPhone through it. So a lot of these features can be automated through shortcuts now. And what that allows you to do is a lot of stuff that can be implemented into any of your existing shortcuts. They're just regular shortcut actions, so you can do whatever you want. But what I've used it for is automating something that I wished Apple would just add, and that's this concept of having home watch faces and work watch faces, or weekend watch faces and weekday watch faces. And so the idea is that I want to have a specific watch face while I'm working because I want my task manager on there, I want my calendar on there. I want like specific things that help me get my work done on my watch so I can just glance at it and see what's going on. But when I'm at home or when I'm on the weekend especially, I want something simpler. I don't want all of that. I don't want my work task manager on my watch face at night, right? I want that out of my head. And so what I can do now is I can have several watch faces set up on my watch, and when I want on a certain schedule or when I go to a certain location or leave a certain location, I can automatically have my iPhone switch my watch face for me. And that's huge. It's easy to set up, but it's huge that you can do that. And with watchOS 14, there's a new feature where your automated shortcuts that automatically run can run completely transparently. It used to be that you had to get a notification each time it ran and approve it. And now you're able to, when you create a shortcut automation, you can just say, just run it. Don't ask me, it'll be fine, just run it. And so now at 5 p.m. every day, I have my watch face switching from my work one to my home one, which is a much simpler one, a much nicer one to use. And then when at like 4 a.m. before I even wake up, I have it switch back to the work one so that I have that ready to go. And so this makes it so that when I'm at work, I have my work watch face. When I'm at home, I have my home one. I have another one for the weekends. So at 5 o'clock on Friday, a different automation runs, and that one toggles my weekend watch face, which is numerals duo, which is just the time. I have nothing else there. I just like a very basic watch face on the weekends. And then again on Monday morning, I switch back to the work one. So I do it based on time. You could also do this based on location. I'm working from home. This is my office right now, but if I was going to the office, I could actually have it so that when I got to the office, it would change it, and when I left the office, it would go back to my home one, which might be even more convenient for like a day off where my schedule isn't quite the same as it normally is. You can do anything is really the point. And so these are really great. You should play around with them, see what works for you. But I think changing watch faces automatically is a huge win. It's a feature I wish they would have just added. A way to configure that in the watch app would have been cool, but doing it in shortcuts is just as good for someone like me. And if you use shortcuts, it's a great thing to do. And the third big feature in watchOS is kind of a small one. In any other year, I would have been like, whatever, this is the new Breathe app, but it's hand washing. So hand washing detection is a big thing this year. Obviously, we've made more efforts to wash our hands more aggressively now than I think we ever have. We've never really thought about how little we wash our hands, or at least how short a time we wash our hands each time we do it. And so this 20-second rule is a thing that more people are doing, more people care about, more people are at least interested in. And so watchOS 7 adds that to the watch. And so it automatically detects when you start washing your hands and gives you encouragement to go the 20 seconds, gives you a countdown timer, and then gives you like a thumbs up or a great job, guy, when you do it. So it's pretty nicely done. It is off by default, so if you don't want to deal with it, if you like are rolling your eyes right now with this feature, just don't do anything, you'll never see it. But if you do want to do it, you want to go into the settings app on your watch and then scroll all the way down to hand washing, and you're going to see an option to enable it. And so it works really well. In the 3 months I've been testing it, I've never really gotten a false positive. Like you can rub your hands together and simulate washing your hands, and you can actually trick it if you want. But in my general day-to-day, I never got a false positive, which is fantastic. When I was washing my hands, it picked it up 99% of the time, but it's very good at detecting when you're actually doing it and not giving you false positives when you're not. And then if you do wash your hands for less than 20 seconds, it gives you a notification that says, hey, was that just a quick rinse? Wow, did you actually just not do 20 seconds and you're just fine with it? Or was this a false positive? So if it was a false positive, you can say, I wasn't washing my hands, and that'll help it update its machine learning model to more accurately detect when and when you're not washing your hands. There's of course a ton more, and I'm not going to cover everything in this video. I don't want it to be a million years long, but a few other things that are worth mentioning. Apple threw me a bit of a curveball with this one, but there are 7 new watch faces. All summer during the beta there was 1, there was Chronograph Pro, but now there are 7, which is fantastic. These watch faces look incredible. There's some really cool ones. You'll see them on screen right now. But the new watch faces are the best collection I think I've seen from Apple in any release so far. This is actually really fantastic. It's a real big surprise, again, since it wasn't announced until literally the day before this video is released. So check them out, check out the new watch faces on watchOS 7. Another thing is that the animations across the board are faster. They feel about twice as fast. If you put it up next to watchOS 6, you can really tell the difference. And even if you don't put them next to each other, as soon as you install watchOS 7, you'll notice right away that apps launch faster. Everything just happens instantly, it feels like. And so this makes your watch feel like an upgrade, even if it's the exact same model from last year. You don't have to buy a new one to make something feel faster, which is great. Another thing that makes the watch faster for Series 5 users is that it used to be when you tapped the screen when the always-on display was enabled, then it would basically take one tap to turn the screen on and then a second tap to do the thing you wanted. Now, if you're on the watch face and you just tap the screen, it will take you right to the thing that you wanted. So it'll turn on the screen and open the activity app or the workout app or the timer or whatever you want to do. So that's really, really nice. And again, speeds up interacting with the watch. Apple's also brought the battery health enhancements that they brought to the iPhone last year. Basically, your watch, if you're charging it overnight, which means you're not using sleep tracking, but if you're charging it overnight, it'll charge to around 80%, and then before you wake up, it'll charge the last bit so that it's not spending all night at 100%, which will help the battery life of your device. And then if you're charging it throughout the day, you'll get a notification on your phone as soon as the watch hits 100%. So if you're just charging it up so you can wear it before you go to sleep, you'll get a notification on your iPhone that says, hey, your watch is ready to go, and then you can put it on at that point. You've also got bike navigation in the Maps app, which you can trigger right from the watch. You've got Siri doing translations, so you can ask Siri to translate things for you now. The activity app is gone and is replaced with the fitness app. So the fitness app is the activity app, but it has your rings, it has your workout history and everything, but it has room for some other stuff that might be coming down the road for Apple's fitness programs, and it is basically just slightly redesigned. I like the design. It's not a major improvement or regression, I think. It's just new and fresh, and I think it actually does a pretty good job of condensing the information about your rings and your workouts into one screen where they were separated before. And then finally, Force Touch is gone. So your watch can still detect pressure, but watchOS 7 doesn't care. It's going to basically make it so that all things that you do in an app are on the screen now. They're visible buttons. There's nothing hidden away behind force pressing on the screen. Now, if old third-party apps haven't updated yet and still require that interaction, you can just press and hold on the screen, and then it will bring it up eventually, but it's not using pressure. It's just detecting how long you're pressing on the screen. But apps are expected to update for watchOS 7, and as they do, you'll start to see more elements show up on screen that used to be hidden behind a force press and then a contextual menu that would come up. So that's a change. I think it's a good one. I think that Force Touch had its day in the sun. It did well for what it needed to do, but it does kind of hide too much stuff behind it. So now that it's gone, it won't be missed greatly. It does feel a little less fancy to just do a long press than to push into the watch, but it's okay. From a usability perspective, I think it's a win. So doing reviews of system software updates is a little weird because you're not going to buy it. You're probably going to install it no matter what. So it's really just a overview of what's new, what should you be looking out for. And so I think from my perspective, as I said at the start, this is more an evolution of watchOS, not a revolution. So if you like the Apple Watch already, you're gonna like it more now. There's more features. The features that were already there work better. There's no real regressions in my experience. And so I think, yeah, if you like the Apple Watch, go ahead and install it as soon as you get the notification. If you're a little cautious, you can always wait until the 0.1, like wait till watchOS 7.0.1 or 7.1 or whatever you wanna do. Be as cautious as you like, but I think the update is good. There's a lot of good stuff here, and I think that when you combine the hand washing stuff with the sleep tracking, with the shortcut support, with the faster animations, all of this makes you feel like you're getting a more complete watch experience without spending a single cent on a new Apple Watch. So from that perspective, I think it's a really good update. It's not going to blow your socks off. It's not going to change everything about the Apple Watch. If you didn't like the Apple Watch before, this isn't going to do a ton to change your mind. But if you're already bought in, this is going to make the product even better for you. And if you've been using an Apple Watch for a long time, it's just going to make the existing Apple Watch that you have even better, whether or not you buy a new one this year. So thank you so much for watching. This is normally a blog post. I moved it to video at the very last second, so this video took a while to make, but I hope that you enjoyed it. I hope that you got to see the new watch and kind of appreciated the new features. So if you like the video, hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this, I'm going to have a review of the new Apple Watch. I'm going to have a review of the new iPhone, and then I'm going to have other just software tips about how to use your computer better. So hit that subscribe button if any of that sounds interesting to you. But in the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you here next time on a better computer.